Hello everybody and welcome to this video. In the beginning of this year I had a spoke break on my Zip 303 Firecast wheel. Me not knowing much about how a wheel works, I just looked up which spoke to order and replaced it. The next ride a spoke broke again, so I looked up online what was happening, and it turned out it was better to replace all the spokes. Most probably that side lost tension in a couple of spokes and they were prone to breaking. As with everything on my bike, I like to learn how to fix it myself. So I did some more digging and became very interested in how a wheel works and how it's made. Eventually I fixed my rear wheel and everything seems to be fine after a couple of months of riding it. After a while I had the idea to make my own wheel set as part of the learning curve for this skill. I set out to source my own rims, hubs, spokes and nipples. I started with sourcing the rims and I did this through Light Bicycle, a high quality Chinese manufacturer where you can fully customize your rims. I went with a 45mm deep wheel set with a 25mm inner width, so I can ride lower pressures for better comfort. I was keen on making a wheel set that was high-end, but for a good price. So for the hubs I went with the DT Swiss 240 hubs. The hub is light, durable and has a lot of engagement points. Although I think the hub engagement is nothing special. When the rims and hubs arrived, it was time to do some measurements. I measured the ERD, which is the diameter of the rim. I also measured the diameter of the hub flanges and the distance from the flanges to the center of the hub. You put all the measurements into an online calculator and voila, you got your spoke length. Once I received my spokes in the mail, I could start building my wheel. The first thing that's gotta happen is lacing up the wheel. And surprisingly, it's not that difficult. I just had a moment where it clicked in my head. Ellie Clarkson's videos, which I will link down below, really helped me in understanding this. My wheel build would be a 28 spoke wheel laced up in a 3-cross pattern. I went for this pattern because it would give me a strong wheel as I intended to use as my gravel set. Placing the first spoke, the key spoke, is the most important one. Since my build is a 3-cross pattern, I put my key spoke 3 holes to the left of the center of the hub logo. After that, I dropped in a spoke every other hole. Before I filmed myself making the rear wheel, I already built the front wheel, just to have full focus at the time. What I found while building the front wheel was that as tension was getting higher, there would be a loud squeaking noise coming from the rim and the nipple head. I asked Light Bicycle about this and they said that it was because I didn't grease the nipple head. A little bit of research online showed me that a lot of people grease the underside of the nipple head against corrosion and to make it easier to turn. Just to make sure you're doing everything right, there's this check you can do. And it's looking if you can see the hub logo through the valve hole. Then you know your hub is twisted correctly and that all the spokes are in the right place. We're now halfway and so it's time to lace the remaining spokes. This means we will have to cross the spokes that are already put in place. For my 3-cross pattern I had to put spokes over the first 2 and under the third one it crosses. Finally all the spokes were laced. I just cleaned the rim with some alcohol to make sure there's no grease left inside the rim bed. Then I could place the wheel inside my frame since I have no drawing stand. From here on I started turning every nipple so that I couldn't see any more tread on the spokes. After that I gave every spoke shoulder a good squeeze. This way they sat more flat against the hub instead of sticking out so much. Finally I got some tension in the wheel. I have to say I did this far from perfect, because when I was finished with tightening up every spoke the same amount, the wheel looked far from true. I put some white tape on my frame and started truing the wheel just a little bit. When I had made some progress, I checked my spoke tension just to have an idea where I was at. From here my work wasn't really straightforward. It was only the second time I was doing this, so it was a matter of going back and forth. Eventually I had a wheel I was happy with. As you can see it's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be at this point. That's because a wheel needs to be trued in 3 ways. First you have lateral trueness, so that's side to side. Then there's the radial trueness, that's how round it is. And the wheel also needs to be dished, so the hub is centered. Next up was checking the dish. So this is checking whether the hub is centered in the rim, so that the rim isn't pulled to one side. You could buy a dishing tool for this, but a simple way of checking it is placing it onto things of the same height. I just used some coffee mugs. Then you measure the distance from the table to the end of the hub. Then you turn the wheel around and take the same measurement. If there's a difference, you should correct this by loosening or tightening all the spokes on one side. As you are able to see, my hub wasn't centered. This took me 2 or 3 tries to get it right. At this point I had a wheel that had good tension and it was dished, but it wasn't true. First up, I was going to try and get the radial trueness right. I put on some tape to be able to see this very easily. When I was happy with where I got, I put some tape on the side again to true the side to side. From here on, my adjustments had to be really small. You can see I got to a point where the wheel was almost perfect. It only took me a few more quarter turns after this and there it was, a wheel that was straight and round. Before continuing with the wheel, I couldn't forget a really important step, and that's weighing the wheel. The back wheel came in at 810 grams, while the front was 715 grams. It made for a total weight of the set of 1525 grams. So that was the wheel set done. And now you're probably thinking, well, how does it ride and has it held up? Well, I'm happy to say that I love the wheels. They're really comfortable, they ride fast, the hubs are amazing, although I think the free hub is pretty loud. As of making this video, I've done about 750 kilometers on them and I actually put them through some real tests. I recently went to the Vosges mountain range in France and I did some mountain bike-like descents on them. I even flatted hard on a rock. In the meantime, I bought a drilling stand, and when I put the wheel in there, I was surprised with how true I got them in my frame and how well it has held up. I can't forget to mention the cost of this wheel set. I can say with 100% certainty that the biggest part of what you'll spend on a self-made set is your time. I spent a huge amount of time doing research on what parts to buy, where to put grease, the lacing, the amount of tension, and so on. And for the actual work, I think I finished both wheels in about 2 days worth of time. But now what you're probably here for, a cost breakdown. The rims from Light Bicycle were custom made and sent to me for 430 euros. The hubs cost me another 335 euros and the nipples and spokes cost me a total of 138 euros. That means the total set comes in at 903 euros. As a little experiment to see where my wheels stack up against some of the bigger brands, I thought I'd compare them to some wheels out in the market. I'm happy to say that from what I can read on spec sheets, they stack up against wheels in the 1,500 to 2,500 euro category. So would I do this again? Totally. It was really fun to source all the components individually and then putting it all together. And now riding it feels very satisfying. The actual making of the wheel is time consuming, but very relaxing because it has this kind of meditative vibe. I probably forgot to mention a whole lot in this video, so if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.